This episode of the Disruption Lab is taped in front of a live studio audience. Joe, Kansas City has produced incredible music talent for a long time.
Yes.
But historically, if you wanted to build a career at the highest levels in the music industry, you had to leave.
Yeah.
And you did that, right? So you went to LA, you built a career as a Grammy-nominated producer, songwriter, and then you made a decision to come back.
Yes.
Most people don't make that decision. So I guess the first question that I want to ask you tonight, it's simple, is why did you leave Kansas City and what made you come back?
I left to just for opportunity. I wanted to do more things here in the town. I was always met at a crossroad that I just couldn't, penetrate or get people to see that it was, people look at what I do as a music producer as just a hobby. And I don't think people really understood. And even me, I didn't understand it for a long time how much of an occupation and a 9-to-5 job this is and how many other jobs are within this one industry, right? And so I had to go off and kind of make some things happen. And then had one of my friends who played in the NBA. He just gave me a call and was like, "Man, come to LA, and it's nothing going on in Kansas City right now. Come over here." So I went, and but it always kind of dawned on me was, I see all of my friends leave and don't come back, and I'm like, man, when are we going to finally, invest in what we're doing in our hometown? We talk about not having this and no resources, and that's because we don't show up. Mm-hmm. And so I was like, man, my father was on the decline, and it just gave me an opportunity to kind of like sit in Kansas City for a little bit and in the dot, Wyandotte County, stand up, and just kind of, evaluate, what was happening. And I saw that Kansas City was really moving forward. Right, it was on an uptick that I would come back. I'm like, I've never seen Kansas City like this. What's First Fridays? Right. I never had First Fridays when I was in town. What's going on? What is this? So just to see all the traction and the movement happening, I was like, man, I think it's time. And so the pandemic helped out a lot.
Sure.
So LA was shut down, and so I was like, let me take a seat too, and let me see how I can, not change my career, but understand my position in my career and not just be a one-trick pony. Yeah.
How did music first enter your life when you were growing up as a kid?
I'm a preacher's kid, man.
PK, all right.
PK, man. My whole family,
Shout out.
All my uncles, and my mom had 7 brothers and 2 sisters, a family of 10, and so all my uncles were preachers, and then my dad he's a preacher too, and so I grew up in the church, playing in the church, and just it's everybody sings in my family. And really, I always give a shout out to my Uncle Paul, who is probably the first person who introduced me to the music that I didn't even know about recording studios. And him and my Aunt Regina were doing an album, and I remember my mom letting me stay out, me and my brother, because he had a rap on the album. And she let us stay out till late, and we were just in the studio, and it was like, man, this is something that I want to do. And so him introducing it to us kind of just changed my whole perspective on things. So
we got that in common, man. I'm a PK.
Really?
Yeah. My mom.
What? That's crazy.
My mom. Yeah. So what were the early influences in your life from a music perspective? What made you actually believe you could build a career in music, I guess?
I think my dad he's one of the most phenomenal singers. And we talk about it all the time, and he had an opportunity to get a record deal. And my grandmother made him decline that deal because he needed to be in church, because she didn't believe in going to the movies or all that stuff. And so he kind of put his career on halt. And so when it kind of popped up for me, I was like, man, I don't want to be halted. I want to see where it goes. And then, luckily going to Washington High School and having the talent to be able to sing, girls thought that was cool too. So I, did some singing. They were like, you actually can sing. I'm like, really? You like that? Right? So it kind of helped me navigate as I was, playing basketball and trying to do my career with that.
So, but you ended up not being a singer. You ended up being a music producer and a songwriter. So how'd that transition happen?
It was one of the things. I met my mentor, who is from here, and he kind of introduced me to the different angles of the industry and being because I came in as an artist, and he was like, man, you really have something. He was like, man, and his biggest thing was always keep yourself in the room. And what he meant by that was, I want you to learn how to be an audio engineer. He said, because there might be a time that you can't be the producer. You might just have to be the audio engineer. He said, and there may be a time that they got an engineer and they got a producer. You got to learn how to be the writer. And then there may be a time where there's a writer, a producer, and an engineer, and you got to be the vocal producer. And I'm like, I didn't even know that was a thing. And so he really taught me the mindset of how to keep yourself in the room, to not, because in this business, they get their egos get puffed up. And so you got to learn how to just scale yourself down a little bit to stay in the room and then watch the doors open from there.
Was there a moment when you landed in LA that you were there for a while that you were like, this is either going to work or I'm going to go home?
Yeah, and I had that moment. So I was in LA, ex-girlfriend, we were staying together. And I was like, you know what, this is not it. I'm going back home, right? And I went back home for a week, and I had got a call from my friend, Earl Watson, and he called me, and he was like, hey, man, I'm in the studio with Prize from the Fugees and Barron, and they love your music. And I'm like, what? And they were on the phone. Prize was like, man, you crazy, man, you talented. I was like, this is crazy. And so they were like, we're going to put something together. We want you to, let's figure out this music thing. Barron called me about a week after that, and that's when he was just like, hey, man, you're talented, and there's no way you should stay in Kansas City. He was like, I got a house. I go off to training camp. That'll be our house. He's like, so when I'm in training camp, you stay there. You don't worry about paying anything. I got you. And that was the thing that transitioned me to be like, all right, I'm here and I can be comfortable.
All right. So when most people see, the glamour but not the work as it relates to that industry, right?
Yes.
So when I'm sure when people hear, Grammy-nominated producer, they imagine this very glamorous life. Yeah. What does the actual work look like? Producing, arranging, engineering music. What's that look like?
It's a lot of no sleep nights. Sleepless, no sleep. It's like it's non-existent. You just never know when the moment is going to come or arrive, and so you just try to stay in the mix of it. I mean, I've been in where, we may start a session early and maybe leave by 10 o'clock. And I've been in where we may start a session early and not leave until 4 or 5 in the morning. So it's kind of like, people think it's just like, oh yeah, we're having a good time. It's like, no, really bouncing ideas and really collaborating and being creative with other people. Sometimes it is a real job to really come up and really challenge each other to be pushing the ante of just doing something that's fresh, something that's current, and something that is original, and not be a mimic of everything that's going on. So
I'm glad you framed it that way, because when we talk about transferable skills, a lot of people I think assume to be in the industry it's just creative.
Yeah.
But talk to me about some of the skills that were required in the job, some of the things that we would, as you think of job to job to job, some of those things that people might not think about.
The thing I think people are not thinking about is in my job, because when I worked on Ariana's album, they had me in as the vocal producer, and I'm the one who was arranging all the vocals, everything she sang, everything, and I was in with her for 7 days a week. It was me and her, and what I had to realize is I was a sociology major, and I didn't know that it was going to apply to this actual craft. But in these sessions, you become a counselor, you become the best friend, you become, the voice of reason, you become the person who, keeps people up from jumping off the ledge of just, leaving the studio and not turning back. So those are all things that are just a part of it. I've had to be the counselor, I've had to be the person that just sits and listens, the ear that listens and lets them vent. And so those things are important when working with artists, because every artist has a different mindset and a different ego. I've been blessed to work with some that are just kind of, even keel, but they all have their moments. We all have our moments. We're human beings, so.
So what did working with different artists teach you about what it meant to, what creative leadership was, what it meant to be in kind of that space?
Patience is seriously virtue. It's kind of like one of those things is, it may not happen in the moment. You may sometimes just need to walk away from it. And I've learned, and this is why, what we're doing and what I wanted to build out here was to give people the opportunity to not rush their creativity and actually be in the moment and actually say, I might take 10 minutes, I might take an hour and walk away from this and come back. And you realize once you have that moment, it's like, oh, it's like a refresher. And so now our artists was able to get, when they were trying to work through a moment, they were struggling, they couldn't hit a note. Now, let's just take a break. And most of it is this, learning about the person that you're working with. I mean, our first couple of days in the studio is just kind of, hey, what do you want to talk about? What is on your heart? What's going on in your life? You know, and because we want to write the music around that. We don't want to write it around what everybody's other concepts are. Like, what is actually happening, because that's what translates, you know.
Trying to get that out of somebody,
Yes,
right? Yeah.
yes, yeah.
So when you're talking to young creators today, so I want to get to the Distrkkt. So when you're talking to young creators today, just trying to break into this or trying to get started, what are the 2 or 3 skills that you should tell them to focus on first?
The skills that I say that have been very great for me is always be a student, because that's the biggest skill. I think even me right now as a music producer, I'm glad I'm around the young guns, because I'm like, I get to keep up to date of what's happening, or I'm going to get left behind. So that's the first thing. Always be a student. The other thing is to be collaborative. Learn how to collaborate. I think that is something that in Kansas City, I'm seeing it more with the young generation. They're collaborating now, which is something that I feel like we didn't have much of. Wasn't a lot of collaborative effort. Everybody wanted to be the first person to do something, and the reality of it is you're never going to be the first person to do something. And the last one is, I would say, consistency. The more consistent you are and the more diligent you are, just staying within the system instead of moving off things, that's what's going to really keep you in the room, and that's what's going to keep you growing in your craft. So
Joe, you know you had an opportunity to reach a level of success in this industry. Not a lot of people see, right? Did that look like you expected it to look when does it look like you expect it to look?
at first, yeah, it did. Until you blow through a whole bunch of money, and you're like, you know what? They told me about these times, right? But yeah, there's a lot of things. Somebody asked me the other day, one of my students, he's like, did they try to make you sell your soul to do anything? I said, no, man. Actually, me staying grounded and rooted in what I believe in, and my, belief in God and Christ. And I think that was the thing that, kept me. And I think that's the thing that they're looking for. Somebody that's just not going to be a yes man. They're going to look for somebody like, oh, I didn't always go hang out. I was invited to the parties. I'm like, no, I'd rather be working, and they see that and they respect that. And that makes them shift their mindset too.
So, we've had the opportunity at Keystone to, and I'm not going to even pretend like I'm a creative or an artist or somebody that's in that industry, but I have worked with a lot of entrepreneurs. Yeah. I've worked in a lot of businesses. And when we were talking to a lot of folks about why people leave, is because there's not industry here, right? There's not the business acumen of the industry. You have to go if you want to be successful in the business. What is your experience, in Kansas City, leaving, coming back? What has it taught you about the relationship between creativity and business?
Creativity and business, I think we all have to do a history lesson, and that's why I always try to tell people all the time, Kansas City was the mecca for music, and we always push ourselves out and we focus on what's going on in other cities, but Kansas City has always been at the forefront of the music. For the last, I would say, 10 decades minimum, we have been consistently on the #1 Billboard charts, the #1 platinum records, Grammys. There's been somebody from here that's done that. I think the infrastructure that has been missing is just, I think people don't understand, we were Vegas before Vegas. Kansas City was Vegas before Vegas. And so I think what some things that shifted, it shifted the mindset of what's going on here. And Kansas City did become just a 9-to-5 town. But I think now, more than ever, I'm seeing the industry looking for new things, and I think I know they're looking at Kansas City. And so I just tell Kansas City to get ready, because it's going to be a lot of exposure. And Kansas City has some of the most amazing talent in the world, and I think we just need to cultivate that more. We need more spaces like Keystone where people just come and just have these kind of talks. It's important, to have these kind of spaces to be able to say, we're here, it's something. And when people come in town, they see that infrastructure too.
So you talked about the reason you came back, right? You talked about the impact COVID. COVID, I think, made a lot of us, because you no longer were in the city you were in. It didn't matter where you were, right. You were in the place you were in, right?
Yes.
And it made you reflect on your life a lot, very differently, right? And you didn't have the distractions, I'll call them, of going out or doing the things, no matter what city you're in or where you were at.
Yeah.
Was there a moment in LA, and COVID aside, was there a moment in LA where what success meant for you as an individual changed, and how you thought about your success?
Oh yeah. When I say I was at the top of my career, I was Ariana Grande. This is all within a year span. Ariana Grande, #1 record, album, Grammy nominated. Justin Bieber, Journal's album, probably one of his, people say it's one of his best albums. Jill Scott, Chris Brown, all at once, everything happening. Hanging out with all the stars, taking private jets with Ludacris and all kind of stuff. Dating a girl from Destiny's Child. It was like, I'm like, what life am I living, you know? But I had to realize that one thing that was missing was community and family, right? And that's what Kansas City has given me, is family. When all of that, when all those people, all those expensive meals that I bought people, all those times that we help people out and all this other stuff, people in the industry, and when they disappear, you realize that the people that are going to be here for you are the people that you grew up with. And I had a moment, I had to come back to Kansas City for a second and sit on my mom's couch. And it really shifted me and made me look at what matters and who matters. And these people are here today, gone tomorrow. Like they're just, whatever's hot at the moment, that's what they're on. And I didn't want to base my life and build my life off of that. I wanted to build it off of consistent relationships, real friendships, real family, and real community. And so I think that's the thing that Kansas City has always been rooted in for me.
So when you came back, what did you see about Kansas City's creative community? I mean, I guess the question is, did you see something different about Kansas City's creative community that you maybe hadn't seen before, having that outside perspective and coming back that maybe people from the outside still don't see?
Oh man, I've seen so much. I would come home and be like, whoa. I would be really shook. I would go to, I didn't even know what the Crossroads was. So I'm like, what's the Crossroads? It's like, oh, you don't know about the Crossroads? I'm like, no, I don't know where to go. Take me to the Crossroads. And it's like, it's just downtown. And I went downtown and I said, downtown has never looked like this. Never looked like this. And so it really made me start looking at, and then I saw the eclectic of people that was starting to be in the community. And I'm like, I know they're not from here. And what is drawing people to come to Kansas City and getting to see the youth, and I call them the future, like kind of shape things and like make things cool, the things that I'm like, man, this is stuff I see in LA. They're doing it here, you know, and just having a space and being able to go and have a place where you can go listen to live music or go see some art or, you know, just being something, you know, I'm like, man, Kansas City is really growing. And I would tell my mom, I would tell all my friends, like, man, Kansas City looks really different. And I saw that momentum happening in 2000, I would say 15, 16. And I was like, and then, of course, we got the World Series, and that kind of helped out a lot, too.
Yeah.
And then that just really opened my, because we all flew back in. I think anybody that was in LA or
all of a sudden you're hometown.
Yeah, we home right here.
We're all from
Everybody's
Kansas City.
back. And so I'm like, man, look at us. Like, we really doing something. And then, of course, our amazing Chiefs are doing their thing and bringing a lot of attention, too. So Kansas City is looking, I'm excited for what's happening.
So when I first met you, you were doing some things over here in the Crossroads, I
Yes.
think. You had some space over here. At what point did the concept of the district take shape? At what point did you realize that was something you wanted to do or needed to do?
So 2016, I want to say 15, 16, I came back home for a little bit and I met with Clyde McQueen at the Full Employment Council. And I guess they had been trying to figure out a studio situation right over here at the Blaq Archives. And so I came in and I said, you know, they asked me, could I help? And I'm like, I would love to help. I would love to be a part. And they're like, can you teach a class? And that was the first time I was like, man, let me stretch myself to do something different. And so I spent maybe a week or two writing out a curriculum that I believed in and I thought would be really good for, you know, young adults to adults. And so I sent it to them. They were like, this is amazing. Was able to partner with UCM through that. And it just came, we did a couple years that, and just to see how in tune and how many people were just signing up for the class and see how many people were really, you know, excited about or wanting to be a part of the class. It kind of shifted in me like, man, I think we need to start something because this is something that I think will last. And I know it's something that when I was coming up, if I had had, you know, this probably would look totally different. So, yeah. How
do you describe Distrkkt to someone if they're hearing about it for the first time?
Distrkkt is a multimedia hub, and it's just a place where creatives meet. We like to call it ground zero for creatives to come and meet and just meet the community. And I always tell, you know, we hear this thing with the Black-owned businesses, and someone said something to me the other day, because I hate the sometimes yes, it's a Black-owned business, but it's Black-led, and what that means is it's like all of us can come together in a community. It doesn't matter what color you are, whether you're Black, you're white, or your ethnicity, or your religion. We can all come together because we all can have a common goal, and that is being creative and the creativity of the arts.
So we see cities that invest in business incubators and different types of infrastructure around economic development and so on. The idea of investing in creative infrastructure, talk to me a little bit about what that means to the innovation economy, right? Because I think it's overlooked as an element of the infrastructure that we really need.
It's super overlooked, and I think that Kansas City is starting to realize that. I think they're starting to realize that, yes, you can go to a bar and have a good time, but you can't neglect what is keeping people coming the doors and what keeps people interested in what's going on at your facilities, at your businesses. And I believe entertainment, I believe the arts, and I believe those are the things that drive people to come. They're the things that keep people wanting to be a part. I'll go see a band if they're really good. I'll go, hey, I'm going to this bar every Thursday because they're there, right? And I think that the more and more businesses see that as an asset, they'll see that the community can work together, and we can say, hey, let's figure out how you can help our business and we can help your business. And now we have two ecosystems that are being able to work together, right, and build with each other. So
I think when you're in these ecosystems, it's easy to see this, but some people might not understand it. Talk to me a little bit about technology and the impact technology has had and is having on the industry. And where the opportunity is, where you see the opportunity for Kansas City in particular.
Yeah, a lot of people are afraid of what's happening. I believe that creativity lies with the human beings, the people, right? Yes, we have AI and all these things. I'm telling people use it as a tool. And that's literally what we need to be looking at, because it is a way to help us bounce ideas. I think we get afraid of it because we're like, it's going to replace us. I think we can never be replaced. I think there's always a space for us, whether that is we're doing what do they call it, the prompting. Something's always going to need to be prompted, and we need people that are in the field that know how to prompt the right way that's going to get the results that the people are looking for. So it is a little bit scary for some, but for me, I don't look at it that way. I look at it as like, how can I use this as a tool, and how can I become better, and how can I use this in my community to shift the atmosphere that's going on around us.
I in particular don't like to date people, because I'm starting to realize what it means as I get a little older. But aside from AI, what are some of the technology advancements that you've seen in your career? Like things where this can't be the first watershed moment where a technology is coming, people being like, oh no, what's going to happen?
I think programs have been such a great essential thing where subscriptions are a great thing. I love it because it's giving people access to things that cost hundreds of thousands of dollars a time. I remember it was a time where to get a certain piece of gear, is out of control, right? It's like $10,000, $20,000. So people now have said, hey, we can create a plugin, or we can create mocks of this that going to emulate this the same way for less the cost. And I think that gives creatives an opportunity to be in the workplace, because a lot of it is like they're not there because they can't afford the equipment. They don't have the resources for it. And so I think that innovation of people being really tapped into creating whether it's a mimic of the Neumann or a preamp or a compressor or any of those things have helped shift and help all students, all people that want to be a part, being able to be in a competing forum. So,
do you hope the infrastructure that you're creating at Distrkkt, do you hope that is an opportunity to have that intersection of technology and be able to kind of bridge that gap?
Yeah, and that's really why we created that. Is for that. I would go to spaces and they would say, this is a recording studio. I'm like, man, that is not a recording studio. And it would bother me because they're trying to teach the kids off of this equipment, and I'm like, man, that's not going to get them anywhere. We need real-time things that are going to really help them shape themselves, so when they do go out to LA or when they do have a gig or something, they can say, I got all the equipment, I know how to work this equipment, I know how to pan vocals, I know how to mix, master, I know how to set up a whole arena if I need to, right? And so we wanted to make sure that the community that we were wanting to build, people had access to the things that they, it was out of reach for equipment, whether it be gear, whether it be, events that we may have come up, or just socials where people can come to the community and meet other people and get, understanding that, hey, I can tap into my community and build from there.
When you say it's a hub, Joe, you talk to me about the range of things that are going to be happening or that are happening over at Distrkkt.
So right now, I'm so excited because it's like the things that you think are going to be the things that are going to be a big hit. You're like, hold on, how is that a big hit? Like, I didn't know that we have a lot of space, so we've been doing events. So people have been booking out the space for events. So we're able to do at the Distrkkt, we do, we have 4 recording studios. We have a content creation hub. We built the cycloramic wall there so people can come do their videography, photography there. And what I didn't do is I didn't cut any corners with it. I made sure that everything that we built out was custom, but I also was something that I know would compete with LA. And so that was a really important factor for me. And the other piece was that I invested in the equipment for other creatives that may not have it. And so now, if you come, you can get members. We have where you can get membership. If you become a member, use the equipment, use the space. We want you to use the space. We want you to produce as much as possible so we can change the narrative and help people understand that there are more than one thing than just being a music producer and an artist. Those are beautiful things, but there's vocal arrangers, there's engineers, there's mix engineers, there's audio engineers, there's content creators, there's videographers, there's photographers. There's so many things that are just job-based that we can say these are our 9-to-5 jobs. And the other piece of it is with us being able to teach kids is I'm able to hire the people that may want to leave and say, hey, listen, I got a job for you to teach students, teach them what you know, and that's your 9-to-5, and then you're still in the space of creativity, and you don't have to say, I got to go work at, the bank, and then I got to come over here to do this, and they're kind of tapped out at that point. So,
Giving them options, yeah. It's funny you talk about opening the doors, and it's not the way you landed, but people are like looking at different opportunities. Yeah. When we opened this space, these were just little garage stalls that we had on this back side over here. And we're like, there's going to be little nooks. So people can take one-on-one meetings. Now we got 18 organizations that are all crammed up in this hallway. Never thought that would be the case.
Never thought. Yeah. I remember when I walked in this space, I was like, man, we need more. It really kind of, just so you know, you really inspired me and gave me ideas because that it could be done, right? And so, like, I want to say thank you for this space because it really, when I walked through the doors, it gave me an opportunity to even dream a little bit bigger and say, all right, this is possible, and what else can I add to it? And, everybody has their space, but we need more spaces like this. So thank you for doing what you do.
I appreciate it, man. Yeah. You never said that. I appreciate that. Yeah. It's good to know. It's good to know. What's success look like for Distrkkt in 5-10 years? What do you hope to see from this?
My success looks like this. I'm in this industry, but I believe I can get the Grammys. I believe we can sell platinum records. I believe we can hold major concerts and everything here. I want it to be for us, by us. I want everything. My dream right now is 20 of us are nominated for Grammys, and we all hit the red carpet together, and we all talk about we're from Kansas City. And that's a vision that I've had, and I believe that's something that is going to happen. I know it is, and I'm looking forward to that.
So I want to talk a little bit about your personal views on things like leadership, right? So we've talked about creative leadership and what it means to lead as a producer and things like that, but you're leading an ecosystem now. Like you're leading, students. It's just a different form of that. What's changed about your perspective on leadership from maybe younger Joe to Joe that's doing the work you're doing now?
My mom used to say this all the time, and she wouldn't. I didn't catch it until I would say really started building this out. I mean, I caught it a long time ago, but I think with the process of building this space out, I believe that the leadership that I was able to learn and grow into was being able to put my hands and get my hands dirty, right? I believe that I can't ask somebody else to do something that I wouldn't do, right? And so my thing was, it was funny the other day we had an event, and I was speaking at the event, and it was a spill on the floor. I stopped what I was doing, It's my space. I said, I got to clean this up. I was cleaning it up, getting a mopped it up. And a guy came to me. He said, any person that is willing, an owner, to stop what they're doing, to clean up a spill, is a person that I want to be around, and a person I want to help. And they asked me, how can we help you? And those are the things, and those are the moments that I'm realizing more than anything. I can't tell my kids, hey, don't do this, you need to do this, you need to do that, if they can't see it. And so now them able to see, they get to see the plaques on the wall, but now they get to see the work that I put in. And they're like, oh, I can do that too. Oh, he's doing it then. If Joe doing it, shoot, and that makes them say, I can invest in something, and I'm gonna invest in it like Joe is investing in it. I'm in, and so I'm not bigger. I tell them all the time, nobody's bigger than the program,
Yep,
so.
yep. I still take out the trash here.
Yeah, hey, me too.
What is, you're a parent, right?
Mm-hmm.
What is responsibility, the word responsibility meant to you now that you are responsible to a community, responsible young creators, or even as a parent? Like, what's that word mean to you now that it maybe didn't mean to you earlier?
It's crazy because we talk about my son. I have a son, he's 7 years old, and through my process, he's been able to, watch me build this out, but it's also taken me away from my time with him. And so for me, that's one of my biggest uphill battles. But to know, because if I pulled up a video, it's, when we did the grand opening, he was giving tours of the building when we had our grand opening, and he was charging for those tours too. I said, where'd you get that from? Yeah. He said, oh, you want a tour? It's $5.
You're gonna be all right.
All right, you're gonna be good, right?
Yeah.
But when he was giving the tour, he was saying things that really shifted me and helped me understand that they're watching, right? Whether it be my son, whether it be the kid one of the kids at D. LaSalle. And he said these words in the video. He's like, you guys, today is a good day. We opened up the district, and we're going to help save a lot of lives. And that's what my son said. And so for me, that let me know that he saw the mission that I'm on, and he takes it serious just like I do. And that's why he's like, Dad, I'm okay with what you're building. Go do this. We know what you're doing it for. So.
Yeah, it's deep, man. He understands the mission. That's amazing.
Yeah.
So let me ask you, aside from LA, a creative city that you look at and as an aspirational target for what you're doing?
Yeah, LA is the pinnacle, but this might be really far-fetched, but Australia has been a space for me that, just so y'all know, if y'all want to know where I'm at, after I hit the high lottery or something, I'm in Australia. But being in Australia helped me see infrastructure in a totally different way. We're mimicking some of their infrastructure right now with the Kauffman, Center. And so they were just, I played basketball over there years ago, and they were always innovative. I went to my first foam party there. I was like, what? And then I'm seeing it finally catching on the States. I mean, like maybe just recently. And so it was like Australia's always been the space for me that's like, man, they're ahead, they're productive, and just their infrastructure and the beauty of it is something that I look to recreate sometime here. So.
Did not expect that to be the answer.
I know, right?
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. One piece of advice for young creators.
I think the biggest thing is there are going to be a lot of no's. Do not let that stop you. Everybody is not going to see the vision. Everybody's not going to see the dream like you do. If you build it, my father used to say this all the time, if you build it, JoJo, they will come. And I'm a testament to that right now. I've been talking about building this space out since I would say 2017, 18. And I've been talking about it so long, I think people were like, he ain't gonna do it. And for a second, I was like, am I gonna do it? But I think the perseverance of that was just like, we're gonna make it happen, and by any means necessary. And so I believe that if you have a vision, and people are not gonna understand because it's something that was given to you, but people are going to be the ones that benefit from the vision after you build it out. So.
It's Kansas City has a reputation right now, we see initiatives like Back to KC, and it's, people leave, and then because of family, typically it brings them back home at some point in time. I personally believe that the idea that people feel like they have to leave is the problem.
Yeah.
It's great that people come back, but I feel like we've got to create an environment where people don't feel like they have to leave in the first place.
Yeah.
Whether it's entrepreneurs, business, technologists, whether it's people in the creative industry, we've got so much here, but we have so much further to go to make sure that we retain that talent. So I say that just to say thanks. I mean, in a way, thanks for coming back.
Yeah.
Thanks for bringing that experience back, but thanks for building something here.
Yeah.
Because it's really required for us to keep the talented people that we have. It's a shame, whether it's in the tech entrepreneurship space or whether it's in the music industry, that we keep talking about the amazing talent.
Yeah.
Oh, they were from Kansas City. They're not now.
Yeah.
The way people see that.
Yeah.
So at some point in time, I hope Back to KC as an initiative kind of goes away, because that's not the problem anymore.
It's not.
It's come to KC.
Come to KC. We are here. We're thriving. And like I said, Keystone and what we're doing at the district, I know, and I don't want to say I think, it's opening up the doors for people to say, I don't have to leave. Everything that we need is here. I learned that a long time ago working with one of my friends he's a big producer, and I'm like, he had all these amazing sounds. And I'm like, man, where you get those sounds from? If I had those sounds, man, I'd be killing. He was like, you do have them. I said, what do you mean? He said, go to your stock sounds in Logic. He pulled up those same sounds that I was praising. And I think that's one of the things we kind of overlook. Sometimes we don't realize everything that we need is right here. And so everything that you need is right here. So, yeah.
Thanks for doing it, man. Thanks for being here. Thanks for coming tonight. Thanks for sharing your story with us. I appreciate it. Looking forward to more opportunities to collaborate. Looking forward to work, planning over in the dot, getting you back home.
Please do.
Home. Yeah.
I'm ready. So y'all just let me know. And thank y'all for having me. This is, I don't take this lightly, to be invited and to be in spaces like this. And so thank you so much for having me.
Let us know how we can help over at the district. I love the work that you're doing over there, man. We'd love to find ways to collaborate there.
Looking forward to it.
Right on, man. Thanks. Give him a hand, everybody. Joe Blaq.